ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930 present The Drive. Brought to you by Huntington Federal Savings Bank. Local then, local now. Member FDIC.
It is Tuesday, November 3rd. Your drive begins now on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. I'm your host, Paul Swann. You can join the program by calling the Miller Lite phone line at 877-420-TALK. That is 877-420-8255. Miller Lite, hold true great taste. Only 96 calories. It is the original light beer. Today's going to be a basketball-centric show, but in a different way. Today, I've got Jannson, William. I got Jarrod West. We're going to hear from them here in a little bit. Also, football earlier this afternoon. Got to catch up with a lot of guys. And today, I thought we'd hear from Neal first. We're going to hear from these guys throughout the week before we get to game day. But before we get to Jannson and Jarrod, I talked to them yesterday. We find out Marshall's basketball practice has been halted because of concerns over COVID-19. There's some contact tracing going on right now, so the Herd's not practicing today. And they can get back at it here in a couple of weeks. And, of course, media reports have come out, and I went ahead and got confirmation myself on that. So it's official. You got COVID-19 concerns. You got contact tracing. So we're not going to hear from basketball for a couple of weeks. And that's going to be interesting because we don't know when the non-conference portion of the schedule is going to be released. And we don't even know if that's going to be altered now because of this. And there were rumors, and it's rumor until it's officially announced by Marshall, but there are rumors and reports that there's going to be a couple of games on Thanksgiving holiday weekend, the day before Thanksgiving, the day after. A couple of national outlets have tweeted out reports. I don't know if that's going to happen or not. And you don't know because will the Herd be ready? They can't do anything. They have to halt practice. They can't get together. They can't prepare. They can't go through the motions. They can't do anything right now until they get past this cycle. And basketball is going to be a harder hit sport than football. We know FIU couldn't participate in the game last week against Marshall because they just didn't have enough scholarship athletes. They didn't have enough players. And that's saying something. Now, for basketball, you get a couple of cases, all of a sudden, contact tracing included, that might wipe your entire team out for a couple of weeks. It can be completely different. And so that's why my thinking is you might have a limited to no conference games or out-of-conference games. You might have limited to no out-of-conference games, and you might just focus on your conference slate, which begins December 31st. Who knows what's going to happen? However, the Herd basketball team right now on the sideline, again, they've had some difficulty here keeping it all together. It's completely different than football. You lose a couple athletes in football, you can carry on depending on contact tracing. And if you lose a couple of guys in basketball, depending on contact tracing, it could wipe your entire team out. So that's where we're at with that right now. And later on, we're going to hear from Jannson Williams. So for the most part, nothing we talked about with Jannson and Jarrod we have to put on the shelf. So it's still pretty relevant stuff. Looking forward to hearing that. Also, as I mentioned, we're going to hear from Neal. We'll get his comments, football getting set for UMass coming up on Saturday. We'll have that action for you right here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Now, also the WVSSAC rankings have come out through week 9 of the regular season. Let's go over the big ones. What you want to know is right now in Class AAA, number 1 is South Charleston. Undefeated, and right behind them with 4 games. And right now, 4 games get you in the playoffs. If you got 4 games under your belt, and you've been trying to actively schedule, and you got 4 games, you're in. Because it got lowered to 3. It was 4, so it's now 3. So you get 3 games in, you can participate. And then you've got Martinsburg at 3. And you drop down to 5, you see Spring Valley's right there. GW is 11th. Hurricane is 13th, schools that we care the most about in the immediate area. St. Albans 22nd, Capital 23rd, is going down the list. Huntington not going to the postseason this year, 26th. 2-6 record, not going to the postseason. And that's AAA. Now, looking at AA, again, we're just going to hit on the teams that matter to us for the most part here. And also, keep in mind, this thing is going to be weird from the standpoint that you could get in and then your county is one of those colors that doesn't let you play and you're done. So Sissonville is number 1 in Class AA. Polka's 9th. Lincoln's 16th. Just cruising through here. Polka, probably the team we care about the most. Wayne's 24th. Logan's 32. Nitro's 35. Winfield's 35. Class Single A, you've got Tug Valley at number 1. And really, I don't know what's going to happen with some of these smaller counties if they don't have enough games. But Greenbrier West is 2nd. Buffalo is 6th. Just cruising through. Tulsa's 12th. And the playoffs are coming up soon. I mean, some counties have got most of their games in. A lot haven't. But for the most part, if you got 3 games in, you're going to be okay. But by and large, it's going to come down to the map, the color-coded map. And so if you're in the playoff and you are hit with the color-coded map that says you can't play, you're done. So I'm looking at Wayne County. I'm looking at Spring Valley. What if Spring Valley couldn't play? I mean, number 5 team in the state, 4-1. And the only thing really standing in their way is the color-coded map. Martinsburg, 4-1. I mean, these are going to be the 2 teams that are going to have the best chance. Cabell Midland's got 4 games in, and they're going to be considered a contender as well. I mean, what if Cabell County goes into the orange? If Cabell County goes into the orange, Cabell Midland could be out. If Spring Valley and Wayne County goes into the orange, stays in the orange, however the map's going to shape up, because, again, there's the daily map, then there's the weekly map, and none of this matches the Harvard map. So many maps. But you can look at probably 2 of the best teams in the state of West Virginia not getting to participate because the map says, look, sorry, you can't participate. So how do you fix this? You can't. That's the thing. You can't really fix this because it's not fixable. The color-coded map, I mean, a lot of people are saying test. Go test. As if you're trying to bring the numbers down or skew. And, of course, testing, the only thing testing really does is it discovers if someone is carrying the COVID-19 virus or not. And, yes, do test. But it's going to be so difficult here to put this thing together. And I've seen some people, and again, all anecdotal here on social, saying, look, got to put an asterisk next to this thing if Spring Valley's not in it at Martinsburg. Well, 2020 is one big gigantic asterisk. And you know what? I'm not going to invalidate anything because we all knew what to do. As we've been doing this for months now, we all knew what to do. Here's how you prevent this. Here's how you stop the spread. Here's how you try to mitigate this thing. So I would be terribly sad for these kids. At the same time, we all knew what to do. We all knew how to make this happen. But we got some time before the final seeding is announced. We'll get the seeding playoffs. We'll get the color-coded map. The map will tell us all what we need to do. And you know what? We all knew this is going to be a crazy year. We all knew this is going to be it continues to be a crazy year because we've got Marshall basketball right now. We can't practice again because we've got issues, concerns. Football's been doing okay so far. Got a game on Saturday, and hopefully you have a game next Saturday because what if Middle came down with COVID issues? What if Marshall came down with COVID issues after the game on Saturday and you can't play on the 14th? That would be a crazy thing, and I don't even want to shudder the thought. So that's where we're at right now. It's the COVID-19 virus is dictating everything, and we'll see what the playoffs look like. And, of course, we've got Huntington High action. Huntington High, final game coming up. It'll be this weekend. We'll have it for you Friday night. You can listen to it right here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. When we continue, we're going to dive into basketball. Yeah, we've got COVID-19 concerns with the basketball team, but eventually they're going to be able to take the court. We're going to hear from Jannson Williams later on, but we'll hear from Jarrod West when we continue with today's edition. It's The Drive, ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
Never miss a moment of The Drive with Paul Swann. Subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
We're presented by Huntington Federal Savings Bank. Welcome back to the November 3rd edition. Your Drive continues on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Earlier today, we found out that the Marshall men's basketball team has halted practice due to COVID-19 concerns. Going to be a couple of weeks before they can hit the court again. The one question I have is what will the non-conference schedule look like? It's going to be in doubt, at least for the early part. Teams can begin on November 25th. We don't know yet what the conference schedule, or the non-conference portion at least, of the schedule looks like with the Thundering Herd. Still to be determined. It's in pencil right now. Yesterday, I had a chance to catch up with Jannson Williams as we were on the press conference with Marshall basketball. And even though basketball practice is halted at this point, thought it'd be good still to hear from Jannson and get his thoughts on the upcoming season. That's where we begin. Really, if only we knew what we would know yesterday, we could ask a different way some of the questions that we posed to Jannson, and start out with Jannson just talking. It's getting caught up, really, because we haven't talked to Jannson in a while. He's one of those guys that we haven't really had a chance to get with, and so just getting caught up with how crazy this whole 2020 season has been, or at least this whole 2020 calendar year. And that's where we begin with Jannson Williams. Just transitioning into this new season with everything that's happened since that last time you were on the court.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. A lot of different changes, a lot of different things going on. There's a lot expected out of us, and we got to come to the plate ready to take on all these new regulations just so we can play. I mean, we want to play so bad, and we got to follow a lot of rules in order for us to play. So, but this last 6 months has been tough, and I'm very thankful we have such a great team that I can go on this journey with. We all want to play so bad, and I think we're going to do a really good job this year.
Has it been difficult having to sacrifice so much? Because you see across the country, teams that are really hunkering down, sacrificing, doing what they need to do, they've got more opportunity to play. Do you see that? And you preach that as well to some of the newer guys? Hey, we want to play. We got to do this, and we got to follow these rules.
Absolutely. It's like with this mask. This mask has got to be above your nose at all times. Unless you're 6 feet away from somebody. There's a lot of rules going on. And like I said before, I'm very glad I got these bunch of guys to go along with. We definitely have to preach to each other. It's everybody messes up. It's hard to breathe these things on, especially when you're playing basketball. But we're doing our best to stay disciplined just so we can play this season.
Just you personally, you've had a little time now. You're getting back into the swing of things. Where are you at as far as your self-evaluation?
I'm definitely able to handle the ball a lot better, so I'll be able to count that as a threat to my game, for my game. My three-point shot is a lot better than it was last year. I'm shooting a lot better, but the past, I think, the 4 practices before I got sick, I was shooting 45% with 20 attempts, I think is what it was. So 3-point shots looking really well. Transition, I would say I'm in the best conditioning state I've ever been. I'm in the best shape of my life right now. So that's really exciting to see and look forward to for the season.
Is part of that because you've had so much time to do more personal growth, more individual work, a little bit of, you want to do better, obviously, from the last season, combination of all that?
I would say that, yeah. I would also, I wouldn't be surprised if maybe this helped out a little bit. I know before all the pandemic happened, I've seen people wear masks where it's a little harder for you to breathe, and kind of training yourself to get to that, oh my gosh, I'm about to die state. So, which is actually good for you. So, but yeah, man, great shape. Very excited to play basketball this year. Hopefully it all works out, and hopefully we can bring in a conference championship.
Jannson, Danny commented that he thought that you came back really focused and kind of like the focus that you had at the end of last season, you kept it and you came back and maybe even more focused even than then now.
I would say ever since John and CJ left, I was struggling to find my my role, and I thought I knew what my role was, which is just a three-point shooter. And unfortunately, I limited myself and came to realize that I'm worth a lot more than just, three-point shooting. I'm rebounding, blocking shots, getting the second chance plays, screening and rolling. I have many, many roles to play on this team. And once I realized that, it helped me out a lot up here. So.
One thing with that, though, whenever you do expand your roles like that, you go through that process where you think about it a little bit. Was that part of last season, too, once you realized it? And I look back to that Southern Miss game, you were doing everything right, but it's still like the timing was off and you took all shots in rhythm, none of them fell. And then it was like the next game in UTEP that things really started to click for you. Yeah. Get back to speed when you got that many roles. How difficult of a process is that?
Yeah, it's a mental game, and not a lot of people understand. And I can't imagine, these NBA players. I mean, it's ridiculous, but it toughens you as an individual, and it makes you grow. And it's really cool to sit back where I'm at now, look back at where I was and what I was thinking, what I should have been thinking, and to see that journey to where it led up today. Unfortunately, we only get to play a certain amount of games this year, but it's really cool to see myself growing as a person.
With the younger guys too, I mean, they're going to be going through much of the same. How do you, as one of the leaders and veteran guys on this team, how do you help the Obinas, the David Earleys? How do you help those guys get used to it? Because some of the stuff that you and Mike went through last year, those guys are going to be going through this year too.
Absolutely. So I would honestly have to say, just as much as talking I can do for them, and teaching them as much as I can. Nothing's going to teach them more than experience. And I think that's inevitable. I think everybody's going to have to go through that experience to really understand and really get to know your game, a lot about yourself, and a lot about your team and program. I think it'll be fine. I turned out fine.
I know that, your all's practices, D'Antoni always had his crew on the side that always came and chatted you all up, and you're a personable person. So that sort of helps you all get through practices. How much different is that aspect with it this year? There's not anybody in the gym. You're not able to really interact. It's just like all locked down and all ball.
I'll find myself looking to the crowd just to say, hey, it's just to, lower myself. Yes, we're at a job, but, we got people here watching us, and it's cool to talk to them and everything. And it kind of helps dealing with all this, all the stress. So it's definitely a factor, but I will say this: we are a lot more focused. I mean, as I've ever seen here at Marshall. But I would also have to say that comes with all of the things that we have to, all of these things, just so that we can play basketball. So, I mean, like Halloween, I don't think anybody did anything on Halloween. And we sat back and watched, I don't know, The Blacklist or something. I don't know. So it's tough, but I mean, we'll be all right.
That thought of, or idea of not being able to play in front of fans when the season rolls around, how do you think that might change your basketball mindset? It's gonna suck. We rely so heavily on our fans to help us out, and it helps out a lot. It really does. It's going to be a lot different, and it's just another thing we have to get over. We got to think that we don't have fans coming to our games, but there's no fans coming to their games. So if we're going to get to know each other, the other team. So tune in.
What do you think that this Marshall team has that maybe what sets this team apart from other teams that you've been a part of at Marshall? You've been a part of some pretty special teams within the program.
Absolutely. The way that we all click, and a lot of us hang out together, and I don't think a lot of teams do that. A lot of programs have guys coming in just to come in just because they have to, and I don't see any of that on this team. I can call 1 through, how many guys we got, 16, 15? 1 through 15 and say, man, let's go get lunch. Let's go hunt. Let's go fishing. I don't know, come over, let's play video games. And I would say 1 through 15 would 100% come over or invite me. And we do this thing on Tuesday nights, let's say Monday, tomorrow night, with Jeremy Napier. We go through each person's, kind of not life journey, but what got them here, and that whole process. We've been doing it for about 2 months now, and every single Tuesday, everybody joins in, and we get to learn, tough topics that we wouldn't normally talk about, and then we finish with a Bible verse, a couple Bible verses, and trying to understand as much of that as possible. And Jeremy does a great job. But I would say that has definitely added on tremendously to our friendship, loyalty to each other.
I know that, Dan was mentioning that David Early sort of had a really good scrimmage the other day. What are some of the things through practice that you've seen from David and Obina too, that really make them stand out and help this group?
See, with David, he's a beast. He's really athletic. Really athletic is how I would say to him, describe him. Very shifty. Has a lot of things in his bag, that's what people would say. And the way he can finish and the way he can shoot is very promising. And him and I would say this whole freshman class is probably the most athletic freshman class I've seen since I've been at Marshall. So, and along with Obina is also so athletic, but his athleticism is more of like a Darius, has more of a Darius vibe to it. I see both of their games, and with Obina trying to attack the glass more, just like Darius, and the way Darius shoots the three, he's trying to develop his game into being able to be a threat on the three-point line. But we're definitely going to rely on him on rebounding and the second chance opportunities.
That's Jannson Williams. Unfortunately, practice is going to be halted for the next couple of weeks. I look forward to these guys getting back together. It's tough on those guys. They're friends. I mean, what he was saying earlier, talking about, hey, to a man, we all get together. We're here. We're friends. We actually like each other. We'll hang out, do things. We'll play video games together. And that dynamic has kind of changed. The whole college experience is a little different now for everyone, including the student athletes. But they are persevering. Unfortunately, another setback as COVID-19 concerns are halting practice for at least the next couple of weeks. So when we continue, we're going to hear from Jarrod West, one of the leaders on this basketball team. Later on from football, Eli Neal, when we continue with today's edition of The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
We're taking Paul Swann everywhere. Download or subscribe to The Drive with Paul Swann on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Presented by Huntington Federal Savings Bank, this is The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Earlier this afternoon, the Marshall men's basketball team, it was reported, stopped practice due to COVID-19 concerns and contact tracing. Thundering Herd men's team won't be back in action for a couple weeks, but we do have a couple of basketball interviews we wanted to get to today, since we're not going to hear from these guys for another couple of weeks. And one guy in particular that has taken on all challenges at Marshall, it's Jarrod West, and we haven't heard from him in a couple of weeks. And so same thing, just talking to him about where this team is at this moment. Of course, keep in mind, it all pauses now as we sort of get a feel for where they're at, what they're able to do. They scrimmaged the other day. They're going to try to compress everything in if they want to start anywhere close to on time. But again, we don't know what the conference and non-conference schedule shakeups are going to be, if this conference schedule is going to hold. And of course, we hope it does. The non-conference schedule, of course, still hasn't been released. But I wanted to spend a few minutes with Jarrod West, and here's a conversation with him yesterday. Again, just trying to get caught up with what's going on with him and his team, what they look like in his estimation.
So, Jarrod, just catch us up since we last talked. You guys have gone against each other for a while now, and what's your evaluation of everything you see?
Practices have been good. They've been competitive. We've been working hard. We've been, we're still learning. Obviously, we're still trying to figure some stuff out. The new guys, they're doing pretty well on the fly as far as just learning and picking stuff up. But overall, I think practice has been pretty good. Like I said, we've been working hard. Obviously, this has been an adjustment, this type of preseason, everything like that. But I feel like we've done a pretty good job of adjusting. The guys are working hard. The practice has been competitive. We're learning. We're still getting better. And I'm excited about the start that we've had so far.
Is there any advantage to all this time, this prep time? I know you want to get to the point where we're just playing games finally, but with some new guys coming in, is there any advantage to this extra time you've got?
It's definitely good, especially for the younger guys. The more reps, the better. The more game-like reps and opportunities, the better for them. Obviously it is tough. We've been doing a lot for a while now with the team and everything. So we're just trying to make the most of our opportunities and stuff like that. I feel like the coaches have done a pretty good job of pushing us in practice and, getting us in the right spots and showing us film and stuff like that. I feel like we've been doing a pretty good job of just working hard and really doing all that we can and controlling what we can control. So, I feel like it's a pretty good opportunity, especially for these young guys, to kind of get back in the flow. Also because, some guys are banged up and, get sick or whatever. I feel like it gives them a little bit of time to kind of get back acclimated and stuff. So, overall, I feel like it's been pretty good.
All right, Jarrod, you're the son of a coach. You've been around this stuff forever. You got to sit and rest up a little bit and take in Saturday's scrimmage. What did you note about your all's team and what stood out, especially about the young guys?
I feel like overall, well, there's a lot of offense being played, a lot of scoring, which is good. Defensively, we could have been better for sure, and that's something that we'll work on and continue to get better at. But I feel like everybody played pretty good. I feel like it was competitive. They played hard. The game was a close game, so I feel like it was competitive for everybody that played, and everybody who played made an impact, in my opinion. And I feel like that's the most important thing. Everybody played hard and competed. I think the young guys, the new guys, did a really good job, and even some of the younger returning guys who might not get as many reps at practice and stuff like that, I feel like they all did a good job as well. So overall, I thought the scrimmage was pretty good. I think defensively, obviously, we can tighten some things up. But I feel like the more we do it, the better we'll get. The more game reps and opportunities we get, the better we'll be. So we just got to figure some stuff out, continue to learn. I know we'll watch the film or a little bit of the film of the scrimmage today. So we'll have some learning opportunities.
No, correct me if I'm wrong. I thought I saw a clip from the social media aspect. Was it during the scrimmage? I think Obina got one of David's shots off the backboard or something.
Yeah, David went to the basket, and it was a good move, honestly. But Obina made a great recovery and blocked it off the backboard, and that led to a Mike dunk on a run out. So that was a big play late in the scrimmage. But yeah, I think Obina and David, they both did a really good job. When CJ got in there, I thought he did good as well. So I think all the young guys did well, and I think they played hard. They competed. I feel like they all played to win, and they wanted their teams to win. So when they were on the court, I feel like they did a good job of competing hard.
That plays like that block, is that what Obina brings to the table? It's not just the fact that he's a defensive presence. He has the wherewithal to get back down the court. Dan was talking about he grabbed a rebound, got it out in transition, and then finished on the other end. It seems like that's a big niche of his game.
Yeah, Obina's ability, and then you mesh that with his motor, that makes Obina a really impactful type of guy. Kind of like what you just said, that block, it led to a run out for his team. He saved a layup, and then Mike got a dunk. So it was like a 4-point swing. But that type of athleticism, ability, and him like meshing that with his motor and how hard he plays, I feel like that makes him very impactful, especially on the defensive end. That gives us another dimension defensively that can guard multiple positions and protect the rim at a high level. So that was just kind of like a glimpse and an example of what he can bring to the table.
Just looking at around Conference USA, didn't FIU have a kid? They had a kid that guarded 1 through 5 last year, and that's sort of something that he has the ability to do as well, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure. I definitely FIU they had the shot blocker. I think he was defensive player of the year. And Obina has those type of capabilities. I think that kid was maybe a little bit taller, but I think Obina, with his athleticism and activity, can do very similar things. And it's not just necessarily blocking shots, honestly. I think it's just guarding. I think he can guard multiple positions, and he's very versatile in that regard. The tough thing is going to be him learning all the principles of playing on the perimeter, being on the big, being on a guard sometimes. So I feel like once he learns that and gets that down pat, I think that's going to make him that much better.
We good, guys? Jarrod, what about your thoughts on when you first maybe came back, entered camp with the guys, and kind of to where you are today? Do you feel maybe the basketball IQ of this team has been elevated since you guys first started?
Yeah, I definitely think we've gotten a lot better, gotten a lot more comfortable in what we're doing. I think the guys are kind of learning where they're supposed to be and knowing what they're supposed to be doing, especially the younger guys. And, again, I feel like the more that we do it, the better we'll get. And I feel like that's what's happened so far, you know. I feel like they did a good job of coming in and trying to really learn and get better when they first got here. And I feel like everybody has really improved in that regard as far as IQ, knowing where to be, being in the right spots and stuff like that over this last couple of weeks. So I feel like we made a big jump in that regard. And I think we're going to we still have time before our first game, and I feel like we're going to be better then than we are now.
Unfortunately, the time has been halted as the Herd on a 2-week hiatus now due to COVID-19 concerns and contact tracing. When we continue, we're going to turn our attention to football. Neal, we talked to him today. We'll get his thoughts on the upcoming game as we continue with today's edition of The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
The Drive with Paul Swann. Marshall Athletic Director Mike Hamrick. He knows.
Paul's the best.
On ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930.
It's a proven fact. I am the best. Welcome back. It's The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. I'm your host, Paul Swann. A short time to go till the end of the program, so let's just jump right into it. We've got Neal. We spoke to him earlier, Marshall football, and just getting set, of course, for UMass.
Strange week last week, and you got to stop preparing for one game and get ready for another. What was that like? Just trying to, put all that aside and get ready for the next game.
A little bit chaotic considering, we were coming off a short week. We were going to have a short week against FIU anyway, so we kind of just speeding up the process and really locked in on that. Kind of just to find out that we're not playing that game, we just instantly just tried to look at the bright side of it, knowing that we were able to, all the bumps and bruises we were able to get rid of, in a week, got an extra week off. We just took advantage of it.
So now that you've had some extra time, what do you know about your opponent this week?
We know as much as we possibly can. They've only played one game this year, and that's kind of what we're going off of, going off a little bit of some old film and different things from a little while back. But we know that we're not going to underestimate anybody. We're going to come here and we're going to play our best game every chance we get.
That's got to be really – at this point, it's got to be helpful for you to have gone through this several times. You've played several games, and usually your opponent, maybe if lucky, you've got maybe film on one game on them. So at this point, it's probably old hat for you.
Oh, most definitely, yeah. We just and we get to hone in on a lot of things that we need to fix as a team in general, just as a team, and not worry about them too much, but take the little bit we do have and run with it.
Is it then more or less, you're working still on yourselves, you're going to try to force what you want to do on them since really you don't know much about them. So if you go out and execute, they're going to have to adjust to you.
Most definitely. Every chance we get, we're just gonna play our game. Every chance we get, make it about us and not about them.
Coach Holliday said yesterday that every week you guys check the paper, check ESPN, and there's always someone who shouldn't be beat on that college football weekend that does get beat. What does he mean when he says that, and how often does he say it to you guys?
If you could probably trademark Doc Holliday, that'll probably be it. He just lets us know that every week, just to make sure we don't underestimate anybody. Don't come into a fight thinking it's already won before you put on the gloves. So he just keeps us ready, keeps us on our toes. That's the whole point of his saying.
And just going off that, I think there's a lot of times in any sport, at any level, that you often see teams, honestly, the heavy favorite overlook somebody or potentially, look ahead to that next game. How do you guys go about not doing that?
Like I said, we just hone in on the small things. You know how hard we done work to get here, including Corona and everything going on. Like, we know how hard we work to get here, and we don't want to let it slip through our fingers because of something we've done as a team. We just want to make sure we keep up with all the small things and just continue to build as a team each and every week.
Do you feel this team starting to hit its stride right now? Do you feel you guys getting stronger maybe than you were a couple weeks ago?
Almost definitely. We still haven't seen the best. We're still getting better each and every day. We definitely aren't getting complacent. Just keep trying to get better. But we're definitely hitting stride. It helps a lot that, with everything going on the way it has. I mean, like week 10, week 11, and we've only played 5 games so far. So it's just definitely more and better to come.
Back to UMass, the one game they played, the 3 quarterbacks played, and they all ran the ball quite a bit. Does that look like to be a pretty big factor in their offense, and what's it mean for you?
Definitely, it's definitely a good switch up for them on being able to run the ball with the quarterback. There's not too much that we haven't seen, or it isn't foreign to us to see a running quarterback. So, just gotta make sure we rally to the ball. That's one thing I feel like this defense is really good at.
That's going to do it for this edition of the program. We are out of time, unfortunately. We're going to have to wait a couple weeks for basketball to get back at it. Election coverage coming up tonight, 7:06 airtime right here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Back at it tomorrow. We'll do it all over again. We'll have football to get ready for as the Thundering Herd getting closer to kickoff. Airtime coming up 11:30 a.m. on Saturday. Thanks for tuning in. This has been The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
WRBC Huntington, W227BS Huntington, your flagship home of the Marshall Thundering Herd and The Drive with Paul Swann, ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930.